But take a close look at this. This is France. Not exactly sure where in France, but it looks lovely. But one way or another, look who's together hanging out in France. That's LeBron on the left in the blue hat. That's Draymond Green on the right in the green hat. The two of them are chilling in Europe for their summer vacation. Oh, how delicious does this feel? Before we even deal in what is realistic and isn't realistic and money and all those things that aren't fun, let me ask Kendrick Perkins the fun question. Is or is not Draymond Green exactly what LeBron and the Lakers need to put themselves over the top of the Western Conference? Yes or no, Kendrick Perkins?
Absolutely he is, especially with Jokic being in the Western Conference, Jokic being the best player in the league right now. You definitely need a duo, a defensive duo like Draymond and AD. Can you imagine those two guys on the floor together? Can you imagine the key that Draymond Green could put in Anthony Davis's back? That's what he needs. He needs a guy like that that's going to bring that tenacity, that's going to bring that fierce force energy every single night. So, if you think about it, he could put the Lakers over the top. I mean, they got swept all because they could not control and guard Jokic. So if you get Draymond on that team, it would be one of the best defensive duos we have seen in NBA history.
So let's then step back, because that picture made me start to dream. Oh, you're over here, Windy. Let me talk to you over here. That picture made me start to dream about a possible future. But now let's deal in the present. What does his opting out mean? Because fans will read, oh, Draymond opts out. It's over in Golden State. And then there's Mike Dunleavy Jr. saying it's not over in Golden State. So, Windy, is it over in Golden State?
No. First off, let me just say that Draymond's opting out is 100% expected. It is not a surprise. We've known about it for weeks, if not months. It is a procedural move that we did not, see. It was no issue with this happening. Absolutely, from what I am told, there is the dialogue between the Warriors and Draymond with an intention that he would remain there. Having said that, they do not have an agreement, and they certainly could have come to a new agreement on an extension before he opted out. They did not do that, so at some level, Draymond Green will be on the market. As Perk just said, I think Draymond would be extremely valuable to any team nearing contention, because he is the exact type of player you want on a competitive team, especially in the Western Conference. But the problem is, for a team to be in contention usually means they don't have appreciable cap space. And in the case of the Lakers, they would have to pretty much dump all of the players that they got over the last year to open up that space. That is not something that Rob Pelinka, the general manager, has indicated he wants to do.
All right, fair enough. So let's go backwards a minute here. Let's go back to Golden State before we go further, because there's two moving parts here, right? Steph Curry is going to be there until the day he hangs up his sneakers. But you've got Draymond and you've got Klay Thompson. What is the expectation, Windy, as far as both of them staying and keeping the band together and trying to continue the dynasty?
Now you've hit on something, because if you look at where the Warriors are going forward with the new CBA rules and their current luxury tax situation, they simply cannot afford to keep this team together as constituted at the salaries they're at. And I'm not sure that if Draymond Green isn't willing to take some sort of reduction in his annual salary, I'm not sure he fits alongside Klay Thompson if he's not willing to take a reduction in his annual salary in an extension discussion that is going to be happening this summer. He has 1 year left on his deal. And let me just point out, last year, before last season, they did an extension with Andrew Wiggins. The reason they did that extension, Wiggins took a $9 million pay cut. His salary this year is $9 million less than it was last year. That $9 million literally represents tens of millions in savings in luxury tax money for the Warriors. They need to keep this team together. They need all of those players to kind of follow Wiggins. I agree. I know what people are yelling at their TV right now. They're saying, well, then why did they pay Jordan Poole? The Jordan Poole's due $30 million salary is mucking this all up. I agree. And if they can figure out a way to move off of Poole, I think they will, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to. And that's the situation the Warriors are in.
Get in here, Hahn.
Yeah, they are in prison when it comes to the luxury tax and the new rules, and they know it. And their only opportunity to try to win another championship in this window where they have Steph Curry is to keep spending. The question is, will they and can they? And for Draymond Green to opt out at $27 million, you're saying, is he going to take less? Is he going to take less for a long term? That's just something they have to work out. But the Laker thing is at least real hypothetically because of the fit, just like Perk said. I think you put a guy like that on the Lakers, you got something special with his toughness, playmaking, all the things he brings. And another team that if I were the Memphis Grizzlies, I'd want to be on this too. Bring in somebody to clean up the mess that is that locker room.
Yeah.
But when you look at Bradley Beal, an all-NBA caliber player, Kevin Durant, an all-NBA caliber player, Devin Booker, an all-NBA caliber player, how can you not pick them as the favorites for us winning the Western Conference and being one of the favorites winning the titles? Winning the title this upcoming season. What people don't realize is this. All of those guys are underrated playmakers. Another thing, all of those guys are efficient scorers. And we are in the month of June. Do you know who's running the show behind the scenes? It is James Jones and Isaiah Thomas, the legend. You don't think that they know that they have to fill in the gaps and make other moves to improve the roster? They will. But this is a hell of a start of the offseason for them.
I think that's fair, Hahn. I mean,
I got to see.
You can't say they aren't better.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they have plenty of scoring. If you know what? If that group just started in April, I'd be with you. But they got to play an 82-game season first, and that's been an issue for Beal, sometimes for KD as well. But Perk, I'm with you. I'm withholding judgment on this to see what James Jones does this offseason, to see what kind of influence Isaiah Thomas has on this franchise now going forward. What kind of moves can they make? Who can they attract with veteran minimums? I mean, we're at a time where guys are looking for big money, and you're asking guys to take a veteran minimum for a chance to win a championship. So let's see. Maybe we circle back this conversation end of July or in October, and then we can decide, because they are very much an incomplete roster right now. Extremely top heavy.
Yeah, but top heavy is better than not being anywhere heavy, right? And so
well, again, it's the question. Did you rather your owner be all in like this and then have an opportunity to win? Yeah, sure.
Windy, give me a final word.
I think people aren't having the right perspective here. It's not like they went to a store, the Superstar store, and were picking out different options. Their choices here were cut Chris Paul and pay him $15 million not to play for them and try to sign a role player with limited money competing with other teams, or trade for Bradley Beal. That's, if you take out the monetary aspect of it, which I know is hard, that's a no-brainer, and that's why they did it.
It's actually an excellent way to put it.
Green,
to sum it up in
windy words.
Yeah.
To sum it up in windy words, James Jones traded used cars and got back a Rolls Royce.
That's well put. Yeah. Look, I don't think anyone can quibble or argue that they didn't make a great deal. Whether or not this puts them at the very top of the conference is a different Look, we may live in a world now where everyone is going to have to try and climb Mount Jokic for a little while. No one is necessarily perfectly set up to do that.
No.
Maybe the Suns have the best chance. Time for a windy watch. Get your fingers in the air. Brian Windhorst, what is the latest we are hearing about Damian Lillard?
Yeah, so in discussions with teams in the last couple of days, the Blazers have started to maybe indicate that they won't trade the number 3 pick and that they may end up deciding to draft the player there, whether it be Scoot Henderson or Brandon Miller, because they aren't necessarily in love with the options they're getting offered for number 3. So that's obviously fascinating based on what was said by both the Blazers and Dame Lillard at the end of the season. So I checked in on the Lillard side of things about whether or not that there had been a change of heart there, and I was told unequivocally, no. Dame does not want a youth movement. He wants to play with veterans. He wants the team to upgrade fast and immediately with veteran players that can help him now. So I would just say there's some nuance here. They don't have to get veterans only by trading the number 3 pick. They could do it other ways. Having said that, if the Blazers don't like what they're offered and they use this pick on one of the young players, you're potentially causing a bit of an issue there with Dame Lillard. So keep an eye on that on Thursday night.
Look, the ping pong balls bouncing their way gives them an asset. that was unexpected. It is a means by which to improve their team that is exactly lucky. It's like winning the lottery. I mean, that's why they call it. So it sets up an interesting scenario. How about the Dame Lillard of it all? Is he going? Every year, is he going? He's not going. What do you think of it, Hahn?
I just think enough of this, right? Like at some point, Damian Lillard's got to understand. Like, he keeps waiting for the organization to be the one that has to be the bad guy and say, it's time for us to move on from Dame Lillard. Then he can say, I never wanted to leave. They forced me out. But right now, they're kind of staring at each other. It's a stare down. They are that couple that we all know that, like, they're headed for a divorce. They just don't know it yet. And you're like, will you guys just break up already because you're miserable together? One wants to go one way, one wants to go the other. It's clear it's time because it's like crying wolf every offseason about Damian Lillard. Will he stay? Will he go? And all the machinations of different teams that he could go to. Enough, Dame. Put your feet down and walk out of the building. You're done. Let them know I'm out. No one will blame you at this point because one trade of one pick is not going to make your team a championship contender, at least not one that can take on the Nuggets, the Lakers, and the Suns.
What do you think of that, Big Perk?
I'm with Alan on this one. The thing that we have to ask ourselves is that, do Dame care about winning the championship? And if he don't, that's okay with us. Because I've been saying that it's time for him to get out of Portland. Run. Get out. Because here's the thing. Even if they were to make some offseason additions, it's still not going to put the Portland Trail Blazers in title contentions. The West is just too deep. You have the Lakers. They showed how they got better. The Sacramento Kings, the Phoenix Suns just got a big three. The Denver Nuggets just won the NBA championship. So no matter what they add, it's not going to take them over the top unless they could go out and get a Joel Embiid, which they're not, or Giannis Antetokounmpo, which they're not. So if you're Dame, you have to be honest and ask yourself, do I really want to win a championship? And if the answer is yes, if he does want to compete for a title, he should have been asked for out of Portland. But the time is now.
So he told our buddy Brian Custer, what is it now, 2 weeks ago, Windy, that if he were to be dealt, that Miami might be his chosen destination. What should we be expecting?
Well, first off, let's see what happens Thursday night. And, we have 2 days left. We're in a total disinformation, misinformation, information overload zone in the NBA. I don't want to make any assumptions of what the Blazers are going to do. But the sentiment that I got yesterday was that if that pick isn't used, let's see what happens on Friday with Dame Lillard. And I think if that were to happen, you'd have a number of teams looking at that significantly. But a player of Dame Lillard's caliber and what he's done with that organization, he probably would have major say in the direction that he would go, where he would get traded. Just like he would have major say in who the Blazers would use the number 3 pick on in trade. I think that's been the case for a while. So I don't want to get too far afield here, but I think we are in a little bit of a different zone with Dame Lillard than we've been in the past when there's been rumors like this.
Perk, give me a team that acquires Damian Lillard without gutting its roster and becomes a top-level championship contender immediately. Who's that team?
Well, the Philadelphia 76ers. And I think they probably would have to give up Tyrese Maxey, maybe Tobias Harris contract. But if Dame was to go and pair with Joel Embiid, they would instantly put them over the hump and probably make them the favorite of coming out of the East. You thought James Harden and Joel Embiid looked dangerous throughout the course of the regular season and some parts through the playoffs. That duo right there will basically be unstoppable, especially in the pick and roll.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.